Every man has a fragrance level, whether he realizes it or not. Most people think they're somewhere in the middle, and most people are wrong. There are 7 levels, and where you think you are and where you actually are often 2 different things. This video places you on the map accurately. Let's find out where you actually are. Level 1, the Axe era. This is where almost everyone starts. Body spray. Not fragrance, that distinction doesn't exist yet. The goal isn't to smell good, it's just not to smell bad. You've probably got a technique. Spray into the air, walk through it, hope for the best. It felt sophisticated at the time. It was not. Axe Dark Temptation, Lynx Africa, maybe a supermarket own brand that came in a pack of 3. You're not choosing based on what you like, you're choosing based on whatever's there or what was on the shelf at the right price. If you're 14, this is completely expected. If you're here past that, no judgment, but this video is exactly what you need. Level 2, the gift set. You have a fragrance now, technically. Someone else chose it. Christmas, a birthday, a well-meaning relative who wanted to get you something useful. The bottle came in a box. There was a matching shower gel, possibly a matching deodorant. You used all 3. The fragrance is fine. It smells like a gift set, which is its own category of fine. Clean, inoffensive, completely forgettable. Here's what's actually happening at level 2. Your fragrance identity up until this point has been built entirely by other people's guesses about what you might like. Nobody asked you. You've just been using what showed up. You've made no deliberate fragrance choice yet. And most people at this level have no idea that's a thing they could do. You've moved past body spray, and that is progress. The bar was just very low. Level 3, the popular choice. This is the first level where you actually made a decision. You walked into a store or went online and decided, I'm going to buy a fragrance on purpose. You bought Dior Sauvage, or 1 Million, or Stronger With You Intensely. Maybe a different one, but probably one of those 3, because someone on YouTube recommended it, or because it was on the shelf at eye level, or because 6 people at your school had it and they seemed fine. The fragrance is not bad. That's the whole problem. It's good. It genuinely smells good. It gets compliments. People recognize it. That last part is the issue. If someone has ever correctly identified your fragrance before you mentioned it, you're at level 3. You smell fine, but you also smell exactly like everyone else who watched the same YouTube video and made the same decision, which is fine. It just means you've hit a ceiling, and most people don't realize that until they've been there for a while. The next level is where something shifts, and once it does, you don't really go back. Level 4, the awakened buyer. Something happened. You don't necessarily remember the exact moment, but you walked past someone or caught something in a room and your brain registered, whatever that is, it's different. I want that. Not Sauvage. Not anything that smells like Sauvage. Something else entirely. You started looking into it. Reddit threads, this kind of YouTube video. The word niche entered your vocabulary. So did dry down and longevity, and even skin chemistry started making sense. Your first Tom Ford or Creed felt like a revelation. You paid more for it than you've ever paid for something you spray on yourself, and it was immediately, obviously worth it. The problem? You now know enough to want better things, but not enough to choose properly. So you buy based on interest instead of need, which means overlap. Bottles you wear once or twice, then forget. Level 4 is where fragrance stops being something you wear and starts being something you think about. That's a shift you don't come back from. Level 5, the collector. You have more than 10 bottles. You've stopped counting, which means you probably have more than 15. You've decanted things. You've participated in a fragrance split, coordinating with strangers online to share a full bottle. This felt completely reasonable at the time, it still does. The bottles you buy now come from houses most people around you have never heard of. This is part of the appeal, and you know it. You've tried explaining a fragrance to someone close and watched their face go politely blank. You've stopped trying to explain. You just wear them. And here's the real sign you're at this level. When you smell something good on someone else, your first thought isn't, "That smells nice." It's, "Which house is that?" At this point, you smell exceptional. Your collection has depth. The only cost so far is that it's become hard to talk about with most people in your life. Level 6, the archivist. You have a spreadsheet, not metaphorically, an actual document. It tracks what you own, which occasion each one covers, what season it belongs to, when you last wore it, and whether it needs replacing. You've spent more time building this than most people spend on household budgets. At this point, you don't buy randomly anymore. Every purchase fills a specific gap. You know what's missing, and you go and get it deliberately, which means your collection works as a system, and you probably smell better, more consistently, than almost anyone around you. You can also recognize certain houses almost instantly. You've done it before, and it wasn't completely by accident. Your friends stopped asking what you're wearing. The answers stopped meaning anything to them around bottle 12. This is the last level where everything is still practical. The system works. Nothing is wasted. The only downside is simple. You've become very hard to buy for. The things you'd actually want are the ones nobody around you can reasonably get you. Level 7, the certified menace. You have named your fragrances. You've stopped naming fragrances by the bottle. Now they're tied to moments, places, memories. There's one you associate with a specific night, one you haven't worn in months because the occasion hasn't been right yet, and you're still waiting for it. You've turned down a fragrance as a gift, politely but clearly, because it would be an inferior version of something you already have. The person giving it didn't understand. You explained briefly and then stopped because the explanation made it worse. You once spent a significant amount of time in a fragrance store having a conversation with a consultant that mostly consisted of you telling them things about their own stock. It was not entirely their fault. You just knew more. The bottles are objects now. You pick them up when you walk past them. You've thought about display cases, not as a joke, as a practical consideration. And if any of this feels familiar, people around you have noticed. They just haven't said anything. Not because it's a problem, they just don't have the language for it. Because at this level, fragrance isn't just something you wear. It's something you use. And once you're here, you don't really go back. You just get more precise with it. 7 levels, 1 map. Wherever you landed, that's your starting point, not your ceiling. Most jumps between levels come down to one small shift done properly. If you're at the lower levels, the previous video on this channel breaks down the exact mistakes that keep people stuck there. Tell me which level you're at in the comments. I'm curious where people actually land and how many think they're higher than they are. If this placed you accurately, subscribe. It only gets more specific from here.